Let's go through some of these witnesses. First one, and this is a witness who saw someone before the murders. This is Brienne Wilbur, who was, I believe, 16 at the time, saw the bridge guy at the trails walking with a purpose before Abby and Libby arrived. A man dressed in layers caught her attention because it was a warmer day. Man gave her weird vibes. Man was wearing a blue or black jacket. That's what we see there. Blue pants. That's what we see there. He was taller. Brienne was the height of his upper arm. Told law enforcement in 2020 the man she saw was in his 20s. Well, she's 16. I don't know how well she knows ages, but says he was in his 20s. Barbara McDonald, how does that match up?
Well, so far, you know, nobody's been able to say that the person they saw was Richard Allen. And the question that you just asked, Vinny, about do you see the man in court today, that's not been asked of these witnesses. Another teen witness who was with Brienne Wilbur that day, Rayleigh Voorhees, she testified that the man she saw was taller than she is, and she's 5'7". And the defense attorney, Jennifer Auger, said, so perhaps 5'10"? And she said, yes.
Well, how tall is Richard Allen?
Is about 5'4" to 5'5".
Bob Mata, what are your thoughts here? We'll put up another one of the witnesses here, which is Betsy Blair. Again, this is before the murder. Saw a man on the bridge. He looked like he was expecting someone or something. Said the man she saw was the man in the bridge guy image. Right there, there's bridge guy. That's the guy. Said he was in his 20s to his 50s, had brown poofy hair, and said the man looked young. I'm wondering if she's the one that gave the description of the sketch that looked like Justin Timberlake.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, okay.
She is.
There you go. Bob Mata, I mean, you've tried a lot of cases. Eyewitnesses, in many of these cases, right, they'll point the finger, this is the person I saw. And then the sketch on the right is the Timberlake one I was talking about. What are your thoughts, Bob, about Brienne Wilbur and Betsy Blair?
It's exactly like you said. Eyewitness testimony is typically the most unreliable testimony you can get, because every person, when they're in a moment like that, doesn't necessarily know, unless they're seeing a crime being perpetrated at the time, doesn't know they have to commit anything to memory, right? So you're just kind of looking at somebody, you might be like, hey, it looks a little off, you know, but if you don't know that you need to remember what you're seeing, you're going to forget details. Because when Rayleigh Voorhees is testifying, she remembers the guy wearing all black sweatshirt or black jacket, black jeans, black boots, you know. So like everybody's memory of this guy is completely different than the other ones. Now, Betsy Blair she looks to be in her late 40s, somewhere around in that area. And she was obviously older than the girls that were all still in high school, and even younger out of that group of four with Rayleigh and Brienne, who were together with two of Rayleigh's sisters. They were all out there. And so we heard two of their witness accounts, and they were both very different, even to the extent where Rayleigh says that they see him, in my estimation, of my count, Barbara, it was 45 minutes later than what Brienne said, because she took the picture, which she did have a timestamp, which was put on Snap, and we know that that picture was taken about, I think it was 1:39, I think she said. It might have been 1:29 p.m. And where Rayleigh had them seeing him like after, like at 2:15, like right before they were getting to the Freedom Bridge. So there's a group that's together, but their time is way off as to when they saw them. So, I mean, there's just, it's problematic. It's problematic as to when they saw him.
Absolutely, and they're not saying that's the guy. Like in court, the guy sitting right there, yeah?
No in-court IDs.
Nothing.
They're saying
One more witness I need to get to before we run out of time, Barbara. I'm so sorry. Sarah Carbaugh saw a man walking on 300N covered in mud and blood. Mud all over, blood spatter on the lower pants only. Man's demeanor was sketchy. His head was down, hands in his pockets. Tells police what she saw 3 weeks later. That's a problem. The other stuff sounds pretty good. Barbara, your thoughts about Sarah's testimony?
This was a witness I really wished that we had cameras in court for, because it would be interesting for the public to be able to see her testimony. She came off as very rehearsed, not necessarily rehearsed by the prosecution, but rehearsed perhaps on her own. She got very argumentative with the defense. They pointed out that she was interviewed 3 times by police. She never mentioned the blood in the first 2 interviews. She also didn't even call police until 3 weeks after she saw the man. She says she saw the man covered in mud and blood, goes home, learns Abby and Libby are missing, and then waits 3 weeks to call police because she was feeling anxiety and panicky about what she had seen. On cross-examination, a lot of her testimony really fell apart. She only mentioned the blood in the 3rd interview, but she didn't even mention the mud in that interview. She tried to say that perhaps the police officer didn't write down what she said, or that might have been part of the testimony or part of the recordings that were lost in the early days of the investigation. I think at the end, she perhaps wasn't as credible as the state had hoped she would be.
And she's important, seeing a man walking down 300N, which could be the killer, and if it's Richard Allen, walking back to his car.